Welcome to the Splash 2024 Black Diamond Advisory YouTube podcast. My name is Cameron Lackpour, and I have with me my co-host,
Celvin, Kattookaran.
And we are delighted to have as our very special guest,
David Blanco.
David, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
We've spoken with you before on another podcast. It's wonderful
still
to
likes
see you
us.
again. He still talks to us. So there's that. The experience could
It was a very nice conversation.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. That's very kind. So perhaps you could tell our audience a little bit about yourself.
Definitely. I mean, 20 years, a little bit more, working with APM, CPM technologies.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, in the last conversation that we had, we discovered that we both work with that very old technology, the grandparent of the CPM, ComShare.
Yes.
So that was my first introduction with this word. And to be honest, was love at the first sight. 7 years ago or so, I was introduced with the OneStream technology, and since then, I'm all blue.
Yes. That's interesting. Big Blue as opposed to IBM that used to be Big Blue.
Exactly.
So when you were on our podcast, I'll stop talking about EPM conversations. You were part of the Culture Clash series that we have. Did you start working with performance management in North America, or did you start? You're from Mexico, right?
In Latin America.
So you did start it in Latin America. That was your initial take on it. Yeah. How different is it? So you started there. You moved. You're Canadian.
Mm-hmm.
You work now in North America. How does it differ? How does the business approach, the customer approach, differ between the two places?
You know what? This is a very interesting question. Even inside OneStream, I've been asked this question.
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because as a part of our expansion to the region, we faced few challenges, and and each culture has their challenges, and we just have to learn how to adapt to it.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to give you a quick example. For us, it's very common to hang out with your colleagues after work, literally. Let's go for a beer.
Yep.
And it's very common, okay, or let's go for lunch, but let's go all together to try different places, different restaurants around the area, some things like that, or during the weekend, invite your colleagues to your home.
Oh, so it's truly a social extension of work.
Yes. So, this is a little example of the type of differences that you can find. For us, it's very important, the technical knowledge. It's very important that you deliver, obviously. But also, it's very important the type of the relation that you have with your customer, how much they trust you, how much they interact with you. It's like, okay, I can give it a try to your company or to your new employer, things like that, because you build that relation person to person. Then that expands to the business.
This is where an American company needs to be culturally sensitive, right? Things do not work the same way. Some of it probably works the same way, whatever that means. There are other bits of how work is performed that is just completely different.
Mm-hmm.
We're Americans are rugged individuals, right? So we just do things.
And to be honest with you, for me, it was the first clash of cultures that I got because I started working with this style of work in Latin America. I had the opportunity to work in all Latin America, little places of Europe, so on, and they were very similar.
They were. I was just going to say the whole going out after work thing is a very British thing. Everybody goes off to the pub.
Yeah, we do that too. Or we did that
in India.
In India too.
In India, yeah, it's not really an American.
And then moving to North America and doing my work and then going home alone, I was like, okay, and when are we going out, or when are we going to do something to create bonds, or at first it was a little bit difficult, but then you understand that it's part of the difference, right? You just need to adapt and learn that there's nothing bad about it. It's just different.
Yeah. Okay.
Do the solutions differ? Performance management. So what is the difference?
Boy, I think we overcomplicate things in Latin America. I think we overcomplicate. We overcomplicate things, because at the end of the day, so you have to evaluate and do your 80-20, right? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's like, okay, how much time are you going to spend to have a solution that's going to be perfect and it's going to calculate everything to the last cent, or 99 accuracy, but you're going to have it 3 months before or 3 months earlier, right?
Yep. It has been an observation that the applications that are, quote unquote perfect, they don't adapt well when change occurs. They're so perfect, they're so tightly focused on whatever the current process is and whatever the current need is, that when things pivot, and particularly in planning and forecasting, they change all the time. They break.
Yeah.
Right? Your beautiful shiny telly gets cracked in half.
Exactly.
I wouldn't even go to the 99%. I do think 80, 85%. Good enough sounds terrible. Like I don't care about the other 15%, but you know what? 85% is really good.
And even
And you can own it longer that way too.
even more, depending of the industry, if you're thinking about mining industry, they make plans to 25, 30
Yes,
years
they
in
do.
the, in the future, right? So the difference of 5 or 2%, it won't
It's not material.
be very representative.
Yeah. You can really, as a consultant, at least it is easy to get wrapped around the minutia and not take a step back and say, is this really material in aggregate? Okay, for some specific case, it matters. But when you look at a bigger picture of a company, it balances out. And that seems to be, I think if I've got this right, that is, as a generalization, something that happens more often in Latin America than in North America.
Yeah.
Do you think that's because, is that a cultural thing, or is that a maturity of business process? People aren't any smarter or dumber across the two halves of the Americas. So what is it that
I think it's the way how we approach the business, right? So for us, it's more critical to be careful with the sense.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are doing a planning process in North America, okay, you can think more about the future, and it's like, okay, if I miss my budget for 2%, 3%, it's not a big deal, right? So I'm still going in the right direction. For us, I mean, is also the difference between economies, right? For us, 2-3%, it represents a lot of money.
Is this because of high inflation? Is that part of what drives it?
Yes. And the general cost of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, that 2-3% impact
Can be very large.
Yes.
Interesting. Yes. So do you work across both sides of the Western Hemisphere, or do you now mostly? I mean, you live in Canada. You are Canadian, or does your professional life mostly revolve around Canada itself?
No, actually, I have the pleasure to work with companies in all continents.
Okay, so you're
continents, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a question I have. There are not few ICs that are there in the OneStream space. You are,
And you are an independent consultant, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
So how is work for you?
Yeah, we both used to be independent consultants.
I know. And you guys both have very cool blogs.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yes, of course. I was a fan. I used to read your blogs in Network 54.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes. The old S-Base.
Oh, man, we are old.
That was great. I love that.
but we are old.
Yes, agreed.
Yeah, yes, I have the pleasure and the opportunity to work with customers in Colombia, in Mexico,
Okay.
and North America, Canada.
Yeah, because of the language skills, because you're a native Spanish speaker, you really have opportunities that will never be open to us. I took one semester of Spanish in college.
Okay,
I don't remember anything.
and talking about culture, so some of the customers really ask for Spanish speakers.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Or we're thinking in a different culture, Brazil. So the Brazilian people like Portuguese speakers.
Do you speak Portuguese
Yes,
as well?
I speak
Okay.
Portuguese.
It's they don't have to adapt, right? They can speak their native, someone who can understand them.
And believe it or not, sometimes when you are doing the translation of some very specific concepts, you can lose the concept. You can lose something on the translation. So that's why sometimes they are very critical of, no, I need a native speaker because I really want to make sure that they understand my process.
Yeah, that's it.
So what is for our audience of consultants, the audience for this podcast is customers and consultants and arguably OneStream themselves. What is it like as an independent consultant in the OneStream space? When we did it, when I did it, sometimes I got my own work. Sometimes I went through a broker. Sometimes I just knew people at consulting companies that would say, "Are you available, Cameron, to do X, Y, or Z?" Is it the same model?
Exactly the same.
It's exactly the same.
Exactly the same.
Yeah. How do you deal with when I was in the Oracle space, I paid, gosh, I want to say $5,000 a year
For the
to get access to my Oracle support, which is no longer called my Oracle support, but it was Oracle's
knowledge articles.
Yeah. You couldn't I couldn't raise a question, but I could at least search it to try to find answers. You don't. Do you have that ability as an IC?
Not right now.
Yeah.
Not right now.
Yeah, I
And
wondered about that.
even before coming to this podcast, Celvin and I, we were having that conversation. What do you miss as an independent contractor? And exactly was telling him that, having the opportunity to interact with other people, probably not ask technical questions or ask something very specific, but discuss design alternatives. Okay, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And I think this is something that I miss from the Oracle community.
Yeah. So you came to Splash. Why did you come to Splash? Other than to talk to us? But yeah, that was like the primary reason.
It's because I'm definitely a OneStream lover. I'm in love with the technology. I definitely think that it's the best solution on the market.
Do you use the conference to have those personal interactions?
Totally.
Yes. We were talking about this before, that not all that long ago when I went to a conference, I wanted to go to the sessions. Like that was the reason I was there. And then over time, it's not that the sessions aren't valuable. They are valuable. I still try to go to them. But it's much more about talking to people.
Exactly.
Talking to someone live like this, of course, our audience doesn't get to be live because it's a recorded podcast. It's a totally different experience. It cannot be beat. For those of you who are watching this who do not come to Splash, you really ought to. You're missing intangibles that can't be captured any other way.
Definitely. Just today, I arrived a couple of hours ago, and I met people that I worked with for 6 months, 7 months, and I never met them in person.
Yeah.
And I just say hi. Like, wow, and that's wonderful.
Gotcha.
That's what Amanda and Dane were saying. Like they can talk to other customers and then see how they have approached some issues, some problems, how they implemented things. So
Definitely. We were talking about us as consultants, but downstairs I also met a lady who is one of my customers, and she was so happy to have the opportunity to interact with other people in her industry, that they are doing similar things, that they are solving things in a similar way. So it's amazing.
Customers need to, I'd like to think the customers need to talk to consultants because we're all consultants. They need their own space. Customers need to speak to other customers independently of their partners, independently of OneStream. I mean, this is where they get to really let their hair down and say, this is what worked, this is what didn't, this we would do again, times 2, and this is something we wouldn't even think of because it was the wrong thing to do.
Guys,
whatever the wrong thing means.
We do our best, but we are 2 bytes. We're speaking bits and bytes. We're like modems for them, right? So they definitely need their own space.
Yeah, and this conference does that. So again, I would say to the audience that does not come to Splash or did not come to Splash, make sure you do so in 2025.
Totally.
So we ask our guests a question about the future of OneStream, and then I think your place in OneStream. You are the only IC that we're talking to. So it's sort of a dual perspective question. Where do you see OneStream going in 1 year and in 3 years? And then I guess the follow-up question would be, what are you going to be doing a year from now and 3 years from now?
Okay, first I would like to answer about how I see OneStream. First of all, I mean, I and you guys have seen the evolution, right? So first it was a small CPM solution.
Yeah.
But since the very first moment when I had the opportunity to see the technology, I understood that this is not an implementation tool. This is a platform of development.
Yeah.
So, and we're growing, and the partner exchange shows that, right? So all the SPM solutions, the Power BI integrator, all those type of components that are coming to the suite or the platform are proving that. I definitely think that OneStream is gonna grow and start placing solutions in other niche like SPM. SPM, it was a totally different world.
Yeah.
6 months ago. Now it's part of our world. So I don't know, maybe other solutions that right now have their own silos. So we are going to be position OneStream as a platform, and I don't know, really making through that statement, to become in the suite of the office of the CFO.
Gotcha. Where do you think the longer term future of OneStream lies? It's tough. It is a tough question because the company is doing so many things all at once.
Absolutely.
It's for me at least sometimes a little difficult to figure out where are they going. I'm constantly surprised.
And I think we're getting closer and closer to the ERP.
You think so?
Well, because when Tom announced CPM 2.0,
yep.
So we are one level lower, right? So we're getting closer to the ERP. I don't know if we are going to start overlapping with it, but definitely think that
there's a convergence.
Our users are asking more and more transactional planning. And this is
a need.
This is a lower level of detail, and again, it's not yet to the level of the ERP, but it's getting closer.
It is. So that's a dynamic cube announcement.
Yep, absolutely. And once again, the Power BI component, now you can see in Power BI, you will be able to see ERP, your transactional, and OneStream in the same screen. This is a lot of power, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to stick in the OneStream space. There's
the plan.
There's no leaving.
That's the plan. That's the plan. I mean, honestly, I love the technology. I think in what field, I'm still not sure if it's going to be on consolidation, planning. I still don't know, but definitely in OneStream. Yes, for sure.
Okay, well, thank you so much for being a guest. You were a delight. Thank you so much.
Okay, likewise. It's always a pleasure speaking with you guys.
Our pleasure too.
Thank you.